On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks season comes to an end. Anthony Davis fights hard, and now the Mavericks look and say, how are we going to rebuild around Anthony Davis? We'll talk about the Mavs game against the Grizzlies and what's coming up next on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm going to get a city like that.
Dogs, all of us, all five.
You are Locked On Mavs, your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Still can't leave me alone.
Your team every day.
Gotta be born with a dog gut.
And welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks, your team every day. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member covering the Dallas Mavericks for 10 years. Thanks for being an everydayer, making Locked On Mavs your first listen. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA, monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. And joining me, as always, the post-game prodigy from the Great Slightly Biased YouTube channel. What you got for the last time this season, Slightly Biased?
So last year, our last episode felt like a very somber sort of goodbye that was emotional, and we were very much just like, man, that was such a great run, such a great journey. This is like the last day of like 10th grade. I'm just excited to go home and play Modern Warfare 2 and do nothing for the next 3 months.
Except you have this looming college decision in front of you and all this, like, all the tests and your grades.
Maybe like
grades count.
Summer.
Where you're like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden now I have this. Oh no, you have this thing in front of you.
Summer, we've got a family trip planned to Lake Texoma. Like, we're good.
Today's episode, we'll get into the Mavs loss against the Memphis Grizzlies. We'll talk about what's coming for the Mavericks going forward, building around Anthony Davis. And, let's start here with Anthony Davis, because you could say a lot of things about the Mavericks. Many things have been said about the Mavericks. I think maybe this season, the most things have been said about the Mavericks that have ever been said.
Probably.
Between us, the national media, fans, casual fans, people that don't even care about the NBA, the most things have been said about the Dallas Mavericks in so many different ways, and about the people that were in this room, except for Luka Doncic, obviously. Nico Harrison was here tonight. Patrick Dumont was here tonight, courtside with his son. Rick Welts was sitting right next to him, the CEO. A lot of things have been said about all those people, and a lot of things have been said about Anthony Davis. But Anthony Davis fought his brow off in this game. He was absolutely awesome in so many ways. Fighting through injuries. He was a game-time decision, according to Jason Kidd, with the adductor injury before the game. He fought through that injury all through this. He had treatment on his right leg. He had treatment on his left leg during the game. They were rubbing him down and using the Theragun and wrapping tape and all kinds of stuff on him. And you can question about why. What's the point for Anthony Davis to go through all this? But what I'm not going to question is that he did, and that he fought in the same way that when he fought to come back from his injury the first time. I'll say, man, you know what? Give respect to that guy, because he came back, he fought, dropped 40 in this game. He was the only guy that came to play at certain points in this game. He was the only one that could score at certain points in this game. Looked like he belonged out there. And man, for Anthony Davis to look like that, and the Mavs are building around Anthony Davis now. That's the start. And honestly, like, respect to Anthony Davis for the game that he had tonight.
Yeah, I mean, early on, it looked like the Mavs were going to get, I mean, they did get blown out, but it looked like it was going to be a wire-to-wire blowout. The Grizzlies had a 25-point lead early in the second quarter, but the Mavs cut it all the way down to 8, I think was the closest they got. 7 was the closest they got. And, it was because AD became sort of unstoppable for a stretch there. Had 28 points in the second and third quarter, was hitting his jumpers, was hitting threes, was making things happen defensively, and was just a matchup nightmare for the Grizzlies. So you do start, and I don't really think it's much of a coincidence either that he plays next to like Brandon Williams for a good chunk there in the second quarter, and immediately his stats go up because
we'll talk about Brandon Williams.
Just needs some like point guard presence out there. But yeah, I mean, props to AD. Clearly dealing with like by the end of the game, it felt like he was dealing with like 4 different things. I think both legs were bothering him at certain points during the game. I mean, I get he wants to go out there, and I get it's win or go home. Like, you leave it all out there. But when it was a 20-point game with whatever it was, 4 minutes left, 5 minutes left, I couldn't believe he checked back into the game. It just seemed incredibly irresponsible to me. But, you know, again, it's you're everything's on the line. It just felt like.
And checking back into the season after his adductor injury, a lot of us said was probably like, he probably should have done that too. And yet he still did. This game kind of represented what he has been. He's going to play, and if he can play, he's going to. So he's going to go back out there. He's going to fight. And you know what? Like, hey, respect the guy for doing that. I know he has the bad rap for being injured all the time, and then we are going to have to deal with the AD boo-boos. I mean, it's back. The AD boo-boos where he falls down and you go, oh my God, he's out for the season, but then he gets back up and he runs the other end of the floor. That happened at least two times tonight.
Yes,
but honestly, like, Anthony Davis dropped 40 in this game, and that's commendable. That's something that you look at and you go, all right, well, you still have a really great player on the roster. It's not the way that we thought. It's not the way that it should be, but they have Anthony Davis. He dropped 40 in this game. And for all the terrible things we'll talk about in this game, I wanted to start with one bright spot, and I thought that was AD. Yeah,
for sure. And he deserves the props. I mean, well, you can say whatever you want about the trade, say whatever you want about AD, but coming back from the injury took, a lot in a season that felt incredibly lost. Like, you got to give him props for that. You got to give him props for playing hard in this game. And, he did everything I think possible to win this game. It's just the Mavericks didn't have anything else really. And there's concerns from this game. Like, there's things to take away from this game to be worried about moving forward. And there's a lot of things to be worried about moving forward. So, the season has mercifully come to an end.
That being said, everything everything in that Sacramento game that showed what was right with the Mavericks and what is good about this team that has been built, everything that is wrong about the Mavericks was shown in this game, because they started out this game and they lost this game because of that first quarter, really, right? Like, they played them basically even the rest of the game. They lost in that first quarter because they looked so slow in this game. They looked like they were playing on 0.75 speed, and the Grizzlies were playing on 1.25 speed. Ja Morant was flying all over the place. Now, is it too early to say Ja Morant's injection in his ankle really wore off? And I'm curious to see how he looks in an OKC series. But at least in that first quarter, he was just all over the place. That putback dunk was absolutely absurd, athletic feat from him, and he was just driving past every Maverick. He got Lively on an island multiple times, and he was driving by him. He was driving past everybody. The Mavericks they played the big lineup with Najee Marshall, Klay Thompson, PJ, Lively, and AD. And the big lineup, the Grizzlies didn't counter it. Locked On Grizzlies guys thought that maybe they would go Santi Aldama in the starting lineup to counter the Mavs' size, and they went, no, we're just going to stick with our guys. We're going to stick with Edey and Jaren Jackson, who are massive in and of themselves, but then we'll go with Desmond Bane, who is short, not only in the arms, but height-wise, and then Scottie Pippen Jr., and then Ja Morant they're all three guards. And so they went with two basically centers and then three guards to the Mavs, who went with one center and four forwards. Yep. What the Mavs decided to do. And they countered that way. And, man, Grizzlies just look so much faster, and they look like they were getting to the ball much quicker.
Well, yeah, and then the Mavs turned the ball over 7 times in the first quarter of the game. I mean, that's it right there. That's how you lose. And it's like, okay, so I've been saying this. You bring all of the guys back. You want to make this late season push instead of shutting it down. Well, I respect that. Whatever. Part of the idea is let's give the fans something to feel somewhat good about, something to feel all right about entering the offseason. Well, you've been feeding us this front court, and it looked great against the Kings. The Kings are terrible. They are absolutely awful.
Yeah, and they didn't play big either.
They didn't play big. They can't play big. So you go up against this Grizzlies team who can play big, but your front court's supposed to be so big that it doesn't matter. I mean, you got outplayed at times by Edey. Like you couldn't even play your game because Edey was disrupting everything out there. A rookie. Right? Granted, Edey's 7'3", 7'4". He's a massive human, but that's how am I supposed to feel confident about this monster front court? Zach Edey just wrecked it.
You ready for the centers combined stats? Because I said that was a positive thing in the Kings game. The centers, all last season we were like, oh, the centers combined stats. Look at this now. This is great to have two centers combined for this. 5 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks in 38 minutes. Zach Edey. 15 points, 11 boards, 2 blocks in 32 minutes. Both your centers, Lively and Gafford, got outplayed by Zach Edey in this game.
Still, to be fair to those two guys, they're still working their way back from long season, defining injuries that there's reporting coming out that the Dereck Lively injury was just this very big point of contention all season long. So that there's a caveat there because it doesn't feel good as a fan to be like, well, this thing that was promised to me, I just saw it get worked by a rookie center who doesn't even project to be like a Wemby center. He just projects to be like a rotation big in the NBA. And I'm supposed to feel great about that moving forward? Because I don't, if I'm being honest with you.
No. How could you feel good about it? So coming up, let's talk about those injuries. Let's talk about the other things in this game. But also, there's a couple more bright spots in Brandon Williams and Max Christie, and I want to talk about those guys a little later. We'll talk about that in more. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs is brought to you by Upwork. If you have a job that needs to be worked and you don't want to hire somebody full-time or you can't hire somebody full-time, Upwork is the thing for you. They will help you figure out how to get the flexible talent that you need, the top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, marketing, all kinds of different things to use for an extra project that you have. Or if you need a long-term partner, they can help you out with that too. Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. So check out Upwork. Go to Upwork.com right now. Post your job for free. Upwork. UPWORK.com, Upwork.com. It's cost effective. Instead of hiring full-time, you can find affordable top freelancers to work on a project that you have. It's also super easy. It's free and simple to post a job on Upwork. You can do it within a day. You can find multiple quality candidates to choose from. Again, post your job at Upwork.com, UPWORK.com, Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, what we call our listeners. We appreciate each and every one of you for checking out the show. We'll have shows all through the offseason, so stick with us, subscribe. There'll be a lot of things. Mavs will have to make some moves. I have to at least sign Kyrie, so we'll be watching that situation. They have to add another playmaker and pick and roll ball handler in some kind of way, so they have to do that. We've got to watch that, and I'm sure Nico will want to make moves because that's what he does. He makes moves. Even when the easiest thing for him to do is nothing, he will make a move.
Yeah.
All right, Slightly. Let's talk about the Mavericks in this one. The bigs got outplayed, and you mentioned the injury, and so I want to talk about this because Dereck Lively comes back from his foot injury, has like one practice, and this is what Mark Stein was kind of trying to report about. He plays like one practice, and then he is back, and he's on a minutes restriction this entire run, quote unquote, the last stretch of the season, and both these do or die play-in games. He plays 20 minutes only. Gafford plays 18 minutes only. Gafford's probably on a restriction too, but I think his was less than Lively because I think he's played more than him at times. But Lively starts, and they go through this. What are they doing between medical performance staff, the front office, the coaching staff, Lively himself? Now, you're not going to tell a player, he can play, and then he goes, you know what, guys, I think I should be responsible and not play, especially a 21-year-old center that wants to come back, that sees all the talk and everything. We know he's online, all that. But, man, what are they doing with Lively at a minutes restriction still at this point of the season? And, honestly, it's been weeks since he's been back. It's been like 3 or 4 weeks since he's been back, and he's still on a minutes restriction, which, to me, I reached out to Brian Suter, the sports doctor, recently, and I said, is it weird for a player to be on a minutes restriction for, like, a month? Right? Like, you'd think that would just be a little bit of time until he can get back into game shape or whatever. And he was like, yeah. But everything about the Mavericks is weird this season. And it is.
I think one of the big takeaways of the whole season is the medical staff there's just weird things going on. And my guess would be they're very aggressive. And I think this season kind of proves that they're very aggressive in bringing guys back from injury. And maybe they're probably
pressured.
Pressure. Yeah, sure. They probably are pressured a little bit, but maybe this is their way of being like, hey, we can bring Lively back. It's probably a little early, so let's not push it. Let's not, realistically, maybe he shouldn't play at all the rest of the season. But if you are going to play him, it needs to only be a certain amount of minutes a night, right? Like 20 minutes a game. Like, let's wait until a full off season of, rest and recovery before we're comfortable playing him 30 minutes. That would be my guess, because we know that they tried to be aggressive with Luka in his return from a calf injury earlier, and Luka wasn't having it this time around. And I don't know if we've talked about this out here, but I've heard things that they wanted Luka to be ready earlier than that, and that was part of the anger and frustration. So it's like, I don't know. Everything that we've seen, AD comes back maybe a little early, and he wants to come back, and then he hurts himself, and then it feels like his season's over, but he comes back to close it out, and he's kind of day-to-day questionable going into a play-in game with the abductor injury. Exum, it was reported by national media guys that Exum's season was over and
out for the season. We all thought he was out. We did his season eulogy on this show.
Not only did we think he was out, We didn't even know he was coming back until it was like, hey, Exum's doubtful tomorrow night. And it was like, wait, what? Exum's back? This is even a possibility? Like,
doubtful.
So I'm just, that's interesting to me this season, just how aggressive the Mavs training staff seems to be. And I mean, after what we've seen over the last calendar year, I don't know how you can come away thinking it's a good strategy or it's something that they should be continuing to do moving forward, because it was one of the worst seasons I can remember from an injury standpoint.
Next year, do you think they'll overcorrect and like guys will be out for months with like a twisted ankle?
Can I tell you something? Anytime from here on out, you say next year, do you think? I'm just gonna say I don't know. Maybe.
You know what? I'm just gonna sit in this comfortable rolly chair that they have up here. And you know what? It's true, because we're gonna do a whole bunch of hypothetical shows this summer, and I think the answer is just gonna be yes, that could happen. Could this happen? Yes, that could happen.
This player? Yeah. Maybe.
Could the Mavs trade AD for like Trae Young and Dyson Daniels? Yeah, sure. I don't know.
That could happen. Definitely take Dyson Daniels out. It'd be like Trae Young and Okongwu, or Trae Young and like Niang.
All summer, I'm going to be the kid from Angels in the outfield. It could happen.
That's how I've come with the Lakers too, where it's like the worst part about all of this is Lakers fans when they do their insane trade hypotheticals. Now you can't even make fun of them. Now it's just like, yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, sure, buddy. Sure, you could get you could get Giannis. I don't know.
Maybe.
I guess. I want to give props to Klay Thompson too. He came out fighting and he came out swinging. 18 points, 4 of 11 from 3. 3 assists for him, and he was the only other guy I thought that could actually score in this game, besides the 2 that we'll talk about here, the young guys we'll talk about in a minute. But Klay came out, and honestly, Klay has had Klay has been through some weird seasons. Kevin Durant, Draymond things, multiple, like tons of finals runs. He's been through that season, the multiple seasons of like tanking for the group, for the Warriors, multiple season-ending injuries for him. This has got to be the weirdest, most insane season for him, and he has been just, you know, pun intended, a warrior for the Mavericks. And he has just continued to fight every single game. And I sung his praises a lot after that Kings game, because he exercised a bunch of demons there. And he came out and he was a guy that was like, all right, if we can't get any offense and we need to get some offense, I'm going to chuck some shots up and I'm going to do it and try to get us back into this. Yeah,
absolutely. He deserves so much props for his season with the Mavs. Could have requested a trade immediately. Could have.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think anybody would have blamed anyone on this team for packing it in. And everyone on the roster really deserves some shout for that, because they lost games. They weren't competitive in games. They couldn't really beat good teams towards the end of the season. But they were trying. They were playing hard. They could have quit months ago, and I don't think anyone would have been mad at them. And Klay was awesome in these playing games, and that was sort of his last memory in Golden State was that horrible playing game last year.
0 for 10.
And 23 points against the Kings, 18 points tonight. And yeah, he's played great. I've been impressed with his 2-man game with our bigs. Like, it's been really important, especially with all of the injuries to the guards. Yeah, Klay deserves a ton of love. And, you know, this could be a sort of one and done thing. Klay on the Mavericks, you see a picture of him in a Mavs jersey 20 years from now. And
it's like Akeem on the Raptors.
Yeah,
or Tony Parker on the Hornets.
Those are. I think Klay outperformed those guys, honestly.
No, I know, but it just as weird as that. Like, if he's only on the Mavericks for this season, you'd be like, oh my god, I forgot that those guys played for those teams.
So that's, you know, he deserves a ton of props, and I'm sad. I'm sad for him that at this stage in his career, that this was a season he had to experience. And it sucks it's with my team that like we couldn't be like, remember Klay? That was awesome, because it's just going to be buried in this season.
Remember Klay? Grant Asseth tweeted that Klay Thompson was asked if he would still choose the Dallas Mavericks if he knew what he knew now. And Klay said, Klay said it was kind of a ridiculous question.
That's a horrible question. I'm sorry.
Then he expressed that he is still looking forward to next season, and they must hold down the fort until Kyrie comes back. And so that's just Klay being professional, and he's just been a professional this whole season through some of the, you know, the lowest moments and the times when the Mavs have asked too much of him and all that. And it's props again for his professionalism, both on and off the court. He's been a solid rock for the Mavs.
Yeah. I mean, I hate that. I hate that type of question so much to ask a guy.
It's like, what is he supposed to say?
I know that's brutally bad. But yeah, I mean, Klay has been a warrior, and he said all the right things. No pun intended.
For like a long time. You didn't intend it. I did intend it.
No, I didn't intend it. But okay. I guess it was just kind of in my brain because of that. But he said all the right things this season, and man, if he's still here, I'll be happy. I think he's played well enough this year that, yeah, I'm definitely cool if Klay Thompson's still a member of the team next year. They'll need his shooting. That much is certain. But I look up and down the roster, and I think if they want to make a big move, there's certain contracts that make more sense than others, and his is one of them. So we'll see. But, I get you don't know. You have no clue what's going to happen this offseason.
Nobody does. And if they tell you that they do know what's going to happen, they don't because it could literally anything. But, yeah, Klay Thompson, first season with the Mavericks, incredible. Did, great. Well, this was not what he expected at all. And he stayed professional, stayed a solid rock for the Mavericks until the end and went out swinging. And I think that's commendable. Him and Anthony Davis got brought onto this team in circumstances that they probably didn't want or expect, really. And then here they are. And so, props to both of them. Props to the vets for the Mavs that have won titles. Coming up, let's talk about two semi-bright spots. If AD was like a big bright spot, then Max Christie and Brandon Williams are bright spots as well. I've got a qualm with Jason Kidd, and then I have a question. We'll talk about that in marketing. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by, one of my favorites, Monarch Money. Monarch Money is great. I use it all the time because I'm kind of a crazy person when it comes to budgeting. I've got to know where everything is going. I've got to sort everything. I've got to know how much I spend on this, how much I spend on this, how much I spend on this. And I love Monarch Money because you can combine all your different accounts into one spot. I don't have to just write it all down. I can put everything in one spot. I can connect my accounts, my investments, spending all in one place. And it's a complete financial command center like that. But it's not just a budgeting app. You can stop managing your money and start building wealth with Monarch Money. There's surprising insights as well. They have different things like on the side that'll say, you want to start building a house. You want to start saving for retirement. You want to start saving for a vacation or something. And they're like, you'll click on it and it'll give you insights based on what your financial situation looks like. And that's great. It's like a financial advisor right there built into all your stuff. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year, half off the first year. Basically 6 months for free. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA, half off your first year at monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, Slightly, let's talk about a couple of smaller bright spots for the Mavericks. I thought that the Mavs just couldn't find any offense in a lot of ways. They were getting some from AD, obviously, with the 40 points. Klay Thompson, we gave some credit to. Najee Marshall, a little bit here and there, 13 points for him, 5 assists. But then they bring in Max Christie and they bring in Brandon Williams off the bench. And I thought they both brought great things. Max Christie made 3 threes, one of them off a pick and roll I thought was really great. They need something like that. He scored 11 points in just 21 minutes. Brandon Williams, 16 points, 7 assists, 0 turnovers in 22 minutes. The Mavs have really found something in Brandon Williams. And now they have this, they have some youngish pieces that they can develop. And if the Mavericks are stuck and they can't make another move for somebody, at least they have these two guys to play guard spots next year, probably. But I thought that they were pretty bright spots in a game that was otherwise bad.
Yeah, I mean, Christie did some things that I like. I just think, and I hope I'm wrong because Christie's young, but he just feels like one of those, we've seen these guys come through this organization, the Josh Green types, where it's just like the confidence wanes from time to time.
Yeah.
And when it's waning, you reach points where it's like, dude, why did you have 3 shots tonight? Like, why didn't you not shoot that wide open 3? You have to do those things. And we're talking about a guy who's, 22 years old? I mean, a young player, right? Just turned 22 a few months ago. Like, you're talking about a young guy who can develop, and he's shown enough flashes. I think we're somewhat excited about that. And he was pretty good tonight as well. But, yeah, I mean, Brandon Williams is, I think you can make an argument he's the brightest spot of the season for the Mavs. Like, I think that's genuinely an argument that you could make the way this season has gone.
Should I sit back down in the chair? Should I get the chair back out after that one? Because I just need to flop down and think about that one for a second.
Think about it long and hard because it might be true. But, yeah, I mean, he's so quick and crafty and, a good finisher. He had a couple and ones in this game, and the 3-point shot looks good, and he's a dog, and he's not scared of anything. Like, that's nice. He is 25. It's not like he's a 21-year-old that we can bank on big development for moving forward. But I guess I would say if Brandon Williams is getting huge minutes next season, I don't know if I feel great about that necessarily. But if it's a 12th guy, a guard who, hey, this guy's out for a bit, or this guy's sitting tonight we need 20 minutes out of you, Brandon Williams. I feel good about that. I'm super happy he's under contract. Really is the bright spot that a guy like Brandon Williams gets a guaranteed contract in a season like this. That's my biggest takeaway.
He's definitely the best find of the season, right? Like sometimes, some years you get like, oh my gosh, how do we find this guy, right? And for a minute there, it looked like it could be Max Christie. That the Mavericks bring in a guy that could be much better than the other team thought that he was. But yeah, Brandon Williams comes in, and last year I don't think he looked like an NBA guard. I didn't think he looked like an NBA quality player the times that he played throughout that run. He just had front row seats to that whole finals run, basically. But this year he's looked so great, and I think that's awesome. And I think, yeah, you're right. He's 25, but long term for the Mavericks, that's through his prime. Long term is
True.
3 to 4 years, like Nico Harrison says. So, but he is somebody that could come in and play some spot minutes, and I think he could play a consistent role off the bench. I'd play him just like in these 2 play-in games. I would play him over Dinwiddie, and I would play him over Exum.
Yeah, I mean, those are 2 guys right there that it's very possible you've seen their last minutes as members of the Mavs, both free agents.
Unless they come back on come back on vet mins like they are this year. Yeah, and the Mavs have to have that.
That would be it as vet minimums, but I guess we'll wait and see. I mean, it's how the offseason always works. It's how the offseason always works. You definitely saw the last game for some guys tonight, and time will tell who that's going to be.
Time will tell. Time will tell. PJ Washington, maybe his worst game of the season. 0 points, 0 for 5 from the field, 6 boards, 3 assists, 5 fouls, 4 turnovers. So minus 12. He played just 26 minutes, and it just looked like he was in his head. It looked like he was doing 1, 2, 3 Cancun himself. He was just frustrating to watch. Didn't have a good one in this one. The Mavs needed him to step up, and he was the guy. He's honestly the guy that would give the Mavericks the size advantage over the Grizzlies, because you have the 2 centers, and then they have the 2 centers on the other side. And PJ, if the Grizzlies weren't going to start Santi Aldama like we thought that they might do, then they're going to play. Then PJ would have an advantage over a Desmond Bane, over a Scottie Pippen Jr., and he just could not take advantage of that. And he honestly couldn't even play solid in any way. So we talked about some bright spots. That is one that was not.
Yeah, a tough one for PJ, and you saw it early. I mean, he's had too many games this year, especially recently, where, in his defense, there's not a lot of guards and maybe too much is being asked of him, but too many games of like 2 assists, 4 turnovers, right? 1 assist, 3 turnovers. I mean, his turnover problem is ramped up, and you saw it immediately early on in this game. Like, I think the tone was set pretty quickly because PJ brings the ball up. And this has been sort of a point of frustration. Even dating back to last year, where it's like, why is PJ why have PJ bring the ball up when you know that he's prone to getting stripped, or he's liable to lose the ball, dribble the ball out of bounds or something? 2 early turnovers in the first quarter that I really do think was kind of set the tone for this game. And yeah, I mean, it's just, I'll always love and respect PJ because I think he had a bad game
for
tonight,
sure.
But I'll never question how hard he plays. And I do think that he's a talented player and definitely want him on the team moving forward. But yeah, this is a tough way to end the season.
Yeah, I saw some people saying, PJ Washington, after Patrick Dumont sat there and saw this game, he's going to put him in the trade for Kevin Durant for sure after this one. You just go, man, who knows, right? Like, we're gonna do the Angels in the outfield, kid. Anything can happen. It could happen. Anything. Tough one for PJ. If you're Patrick Dumont and you're Rick Welts and you're watching this game, and you're Nico Harrison, you're watching this game, what are you thinking?
If I'm Rick Welts, I'm saying, man, they just paid me a lot of money, and the stadium's coming. That's what I'm thinking.
Rick Welts is sitting there courtside going, damn, my stadium's going to be so much better than this one.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. Like, he's got his money. I don't think he really, and I don't want to say he doesn't care, but, his job is something else. Dumont, I really don't know, man. I don't know what he's thinking, if he is. Like, truthfully, I have no clue whatsoever.
You say if he is.
Like, if you're at that level and you made a trade like that, I'm here to tell you what we're thinking, what we hope they think. What they're thinking is, because they have to convince themselves this is going to work, because they did it. So they're thinking, oh man, just like, we're so hurt. AD got hurt in this game even.
Yep.
Like, there's all of these things happen. We're going to be good next year. I just saw a tweet. The kid in the postgame presser called it a tremendous season for the Mavs. Like, I mean, this is what it is.
That's an amazing kid quote. I need that drop for next year.
Maybe deep down they have regrets, but they're not going to say it. I mean,
they never can.
Yeah, this idea that they're going to have this incredible season is what he said. It's an incredible season.
He's not wrong.
To make sure.
That's like the Michael Finley quote from 2 years ago, where he's like, did you see us play last year?
I mean, what do you think they're thinking?
To me, I think you look at Patrick Dumont, like this is an embarrassment, and it's an embarrassment on a level. I don't know. Does he know how big the difference is between the finals and a play-in game? Right? Does he I'm sure he looks at the standings and sees that the Mavs have more losses than wins. But my question is, so what does he demand happen, or what does he want them to do now? And will he demand big changes from Nico in some way? And he's sitting there, and honestly, my first thought, his kid is sitting right next to him, and his son is looks like, late elementary, middle school age. And his son is just whispering in his ear the whole game. And I just can't. Can you imagine a kid going to school? Your dad is the controlling governor of the Dallas Mavericks, who everyone is talking about. I can't imagine his kid is like, Dad, this is why you shouldn't have traded Nico, or you shouldn't have traded Luka. This is why you shouldn't have traded Luka. Because look at this, the pick and roll. They can't run this. Can you just imagine him sitting there?
I mean, it'd be worse. That kid's not going to a public school. I'll tell you that much. That would make it 10 times worse if that were the case. But
so the kids are richer with more time on their hands, and
yeah, I guess that's true. But I
more access to information, and
I don't know. I wish I could tell. I don't have a read on him at all, on Patrick Dumont. I don't know if he's sitting there in embarrassment. No. Like, it was Cuban. I tell you right now, Cuban is going through it, right? Like, you could just see all the emotions on Cuban, and we just understood his thinking because he was much more front facing. Dumont, I have no clue. Like, he really might not know. Like, you have to understand these people. Like, he's a billionaire. He's part of one of the most powerful families in this country, right? Beyond sports, like in the world. You're talking about one of the most powerful families in the world. Like, it's possible that he's just surrounded by people who would never in a million years tell him, like, dude, things are bad here. I just want to let you know how bad things are. Because there was that clip when he was walking around and you could read his lips and he goes, "They're booing me." Like, that was a clip that was going around a few months ago. I don't know what's going on through his head.
That was exactly what happened.
I just, it's very possible that I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting offseason. I'll tell you that much.
We did find out that Patrick Dumont demanded Nico Harrison have that press conference, the secret one that we brought on Michelle Montaigne to talk about, that he didn't close doors and all that. I don't know if he demanded the terms of it, but we do know that Dumont demanded he have some kind of press conference, and that Dumont demanded he had that press conference before he actually had it, and it kind of put it off for a while. And so we know that he's seen the backlash and he knows there needs to be some kind of response to it, right? And so that's why I question, all right, well, what's the response going to be? Is it we need to trade to quell these ravenous people, or we need to save some embarrassment, or do something, or I don't know, maybe he's like, hey, this isn't worth it. I'm going to sell this team again. And
I mean, this offseason will tell us everything. If it's business as usual and there's not a lot of discussion about it and they just make trades or whatever, to me, that tells me Nico is completely and totally running the show pretty much. Yeah. But, I wouldn't put the chances of firings happening at 0, but I think it's very slim. Can I read you the kid quote? I'm staring at it.
Oh, let's go. I'm so ready.
Incredible season. When you look at the injuries that we've had, the change for us to be here playing in this game tonight, it's incredible. It just shows the character of that group in the locker room, the fight, being prepared, moving on, learning from our losses and also our wins. So an incredible season with the change and injuries.
He said the change twice?
The change, yeah. Some would say we shouldn't even be here, so give those guys the locker room a lot of credit.
We said that. We said they should have been there because we said they should have tanked.
You ought to know he's kind of correct on that front. He's kind of right. But on the other hand, the only reason you're even there is because of the pathetic Suns. Make no mistake about it.
So I don't let comments get to me a lot on Locked On Mavs here. There's a lot of them all the time. There's many happening right now, probably.
Yeah.
There was one that said Nick looks like he wants the season to end so badly. And you know what? Tonight, I didn't. I wanted the Mavericks to keep playing. I was excited. Really? I was excited to go to OKC and to even if they were going to get destroyed, at least this Mavericks team would show some kind of life. I wanted them to show some kind of life tonight. And they did a little bit. That second quarter into the third quarter run, Anthony Davis, there was some signs of life there, but signs of life against a Grizzlies team like this, who just fired their coach a week ago.
Yeah.
That's not great for a team like this.
To go to Bricktown?
I was excited. such an exotic place with so many exotic things to.
Whenever I went to Bricktown last year, I was pleasantly surprised. I have to give props to my Oklahoma.
I know, because it's your Oklahoma City Thunder. You want to do post games for them? Maybe we'll just take over. We'll take over Locked On Thunder's lane. And sorry, Rylan.
I have to be honest. I was excited for the season to be over because I didn't want the Thunder to just trounce this team in 4 games. I didn't think the Mavs would be competitive in that series, despite what people think. And I'm honestly excited to watch what I think is going to be an incredible playoff.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible postseason. I'm excited to watch that without having to worry about the team. Like, that's it. It's over.
Well, you will still have to worry about them in some way, but
no, yeah, for sure. We'll cross that bridge when we'll cross that bridge.
I'm just saying we don't know where the bridge is.
Yeah, true.
Right? Like normally we know where the bridge is. I don't know with this team anymore. We don't know where the bridge is.
Have you ever heard of that bridge? I think it's in England where every time a dog walks past it, the dogs want to jump off. It's like a haunted bridge.
No, it's a dog suicide bridge.
Yeah, I think that might be the bridge we're crossing. I mean,
dog suicide bridge. We got to end right there. That's it. Guys, I just want to say this is the last post game of the year. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody that's watched. If you've watched to the end of this, you're a true Mavericks fan for life. Nothing can happen to your fandom now. You've made it all the way through a season like this. We've done every single game this year, and I cannot believe how different it is from last year. But I loved not every minute of it, but I have loved getting to still cover this team, getting to do this, and it is. I do it because it's my job. People have asked me so much this season. How are you still going through? How are you still doing this? How are you still getting through content? How are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Well, I do it because it's my job, but it became my job because you guys watched, listened, liked, commented, subscribed, did all that kind of stuff. And I'm eternally, truly grateful. Not as grateful as I was last season, but I'm definitely still grateful for everybody that listened and watched. And I'm more grateful for you, but I'm less grateful for maybe what happened this season for sure. But again, thank you very much. Thank you to Slightly too for giving his time and his talents, because he makes us better. He's a very smart guy. Go check out Slightly Biased YouTube channel. Great stuff happening all the time over there. Go check out our newsletter, LockedOnDaily.com. Get a newsletter every single day, all through the offseason. You're going to want to read it because we're going to have some stuff in the offseason all year. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs. Peace out. Boom.
Thanks for having me on, Nick. You're the best in the biz, baby.